Welcome back to Thanksgiving. Secretary's report for November 27th through December the 10th. Let's start with some birthdays. Last Saturday would have been Brett Dorby's birthday, November the 30th. I don't think Brett's here. Last Sunday would have been Garrett Thibodeau's birthday, December the 1st. Garrett's here. And tomorrow will be Dr. Anita Alarcon.
Get it right.
I never said it right. Alarcon.
I learned the hard way.
Alarcon. It's going to be Dr. Anita's birthday tomorrow. We'll do it that way. Next Tuesday, December the 10th, will be Miss Deborah Parsons' birthday. Is Deborah day yet? And we have no partner birthdays. As far as for member anniversaries, last Sunday, Miss Suzanne Jones made 26 years in the club. And today is Mr. Dan Broussard's 6th year on the club. Number 6. And then for wedding anniversaries, I have Charles Deal and Elaine Deal. Last Wednesday, they made 48 years. We have anyone with guests today?
Yes. Let's see. Today I have with me Mr. Al Lee, his son Aaron, and his wife Jamie, and also Al's daughter Anna. Okay, so this is part of our agricultural report. So this is coming up.
Welcome.
Zona Leach, give a little presentation in a second.
I've got my boss, Gayla Falcon Russo, here with me today.
Anyone else? Okay. Some things going on around town this week coming.
I have it here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Judge.
My good friend Ted Noel.
Some things going on around town. We have the Abbeville Christmas Stroll, which will be Thursday, December the 5th, from 5:30 to 8, downtown Abbeville. And I think we're set up in front of Bernard's office. Correct? Yes? Yes. We also have the Abbeville's Farmer and Artisans Market, Saturday the 7th, between 8 and 1. There is going to be some painting under the oaks at the same time. You have to pre-register. It's $25 a class. All the supplies are included. And it benefits animal aid for the Vermilion area. It stays within Vermilion. Seats are limited. It's, like I said, it's limited to 25 people, 25 per person. And if you're interested, see me after. I can give you the phone number to call. Abbeville Christmas Parade will be Saturday, December the 7th at 7:15. Right after will be movies under the oaks. It's going to be in the square, and it's going to be Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Anybody have anything else going on this weekend that I may have forgotten?
Delcom Farmers and Fish Market.
Delcom's
Fishermen and Farmers Market.
Delcom's Fish and Farmers Market. That's, I'm assuming, Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Almost all of them are on Saturday. Yes.
Saturday afternoon, roughly around 2 o'clock, unless you will be playing gardens, so everybody should
We'll all be peeled, I promise. Yeah.
everybody should be looking into that.
There's actually no events happening at that time because everyone's watching TV.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No? That's all I have.
All right, thank you. So a couple of announcements. We met as a board this week, and coming up, we're going to obviously we take a little bit of a break around Christmas, but come January on, we got a full schedule for you guys. We're going to be doing some membership drives, some socials. One of the first things that we talked about is being passed around right now. I don't have a date or a time yet because I want to see how much interest there will be in this, but we're interested in taking a charter bus tour to Parish Brewery, check out there, and then head to the casino for a couple hours and then come back and drop us off. It's going to be probably somewhere around a 5-hour tour, something along those lines. So if you're interested in that at all, just write your name down. I'll get you the dates and times. I just need to know how many people so I can get the logistics taken care of on that. The Christmas social this year will be December 18th, so we will not have a noon meeting. It will be here. We'll do the White Elephant game with a few surprises this year, so if you're interested in that, each year that seems to be a fun event. So we'll give out the details on what some of the surprises will be, and then when you show up, you can see the rest. So that'll be December 18th, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock here. Yeah. Okay, so if you forgot to bring a gift for the Toys for Tots, no worries. I just got word that we can bring them next Wednesday. There's still a little bit of time left. So if you didn't bring a gift this Wednesday and you want to, bring one next Wednesday, and we'll get it over to the Marines for that. With that being said, we got a lot of people wanting to talk to us today, so I'm going to pass over the mic, and we're going to start off with Mr. Zoa Leach. He is a Eagle Scout who wants to do a presentation on a program he's got going on. Mr. Zoa.
I'm going to help him out a little bit. He is a junior at North Main, and he's doing a project over at Eden Park, and he'd like to have some donations. If anybody is interested, I know some of us have donated, but they're always good. So without further ado, Life Scout, Zoa Leach.
So I'd just like to echo what Mr. Jewell said. I'm building a sensory maze at Eden Park Elementary School. And a sensory maze is basically, it's a bunch of different small activities that help the kids with like their spatial awareness, their balance, hand-eye coordination. Eden Park, some of y'all may know, it's a very low-income school, and I'm trying to help as best as I can. I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD when I was very young, and I used some of these activities and things to help me. So I would just like to give back what was given to me while I was growing up. So if y'all can, you can see Mr. Jewell, he's holding up a few of the activities. One of them is logs, and they're going to have like sight words on them, like but, and, things like that. And they're going to hop from one to another, help them try to learn their words, help them with their movement and stuff. The pencils, they're going to have a bunch of posts, wooden posts. We're going to do them like that pencil right there. So a lot of this money is going to, I estimated about $4,480, and a lot of it's going towards paint. As you can see, there's a lot of different colors going into it. We have a number line right there, and then we got crayons over there, and the crayons are basically going to be different activities, jumping jacks, touch your toes, stuff like that. That way the kids can, it's going to be up on the wall and on the sidewalk, and have a circle that coordinate with the crayons, and then you just do the different activities. Number line, helping with the numbers. I've worked with a lot of the teachers, try to figure out what they need, what would help them to teach, what they're teaching, things like that. On the lily pad, we're going to have just, I want to say it's the alphabet we're going to have on there. And we're going to hop from one letter to another. It's going to be kind of like a little maze. We're going to work the way around.
It's going to be in the school or out the school?
It's going to be outside on the sidewalks, boardwalk next to the walls, the classrooms. So yeah, it's going to be outside. I think that's about it. Questions? Yes, sir.
All right, so what you tell me basically is the main cost of the project is just paint?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, and what is your game plan as far as who would be drawing and doing all this?
All this, so I'm going to be using my fellow scouts and stuff to help do the background color and stuff, and I have a few of the teachers who are artists and other people that I know who are really good with art, and I'm going to do a lot of, try to help with the detailed parts of it, like the little crayons and stuff. We're going to try to help with that, and then the flower y'all seen earlier, try to model it after Magnolia, so we're going to have some artists try to help draw that up. A lot of it's we're going to also use stencils and stuff to try to get it.
And Ed, is this so far where we could possibly get Interact involved to help?
Yes, sir. I'm always willing. If y'all are willing to help, I'm appreciative. I would love that extra help.
And could you get us some material material list of what you would need to pull this project off as far as
Sure thing, yes, sir.
colors and how many gallons of each color, so on and so forth?
Yes, sir, I could.
So why don't you
I
do
got
that?
it.
Judge?
Give an approximate cost.
Yes, sir, 4,480 is about my approximate estimate.
Eden Park is a school of about 600 students,
Pre-K through second grade.
pre-K through second. What's your timeline for getting it completed?
I'm hoping to have it done by Christmas, but the way it's going right now, it's probably gonna be a little bit later than that.
How old are you?
I am 16. I'll be turning 17 in March.
So he has about a year and 4 months?
Yeah.
I think you shoot for the
I
sun.
have a question. So when do you think, I know you can't start now, but when do you think that you'll be doing the project? Is that something that you would need to do during the summer?
It's something that, yes, during the summer or during like breaks and stuff, where the kids are not there and they're not. That way we can lay down paint and have it time to dry and stuff.
Make sure you give me your information before you leave, because I have 20 somewhat interact students that would love to help you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Mr. Zoda Leach.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so now we'll call up Mr. Mark Shirley for agriculture report.
All right, every year around Thanksgiving time, we give you an update on ag in the parish. And with me today is Mr. Andrew Roger, and he's got some helpers too. We got rice, cattle farming, crawfish farming family with us. So we'll kind of give you a broad view of agriculture in the parish. Without slides today, we're going to do a shorter version. I'll do my part. Talking about crawfish, it looks like it's going to be a good crawfish year. So just plan on every weekend from probably end of February on through March, April, May, boiling crawfish at the house. It should be
Your house?
crawfish. Yeah. Yeah. They'll be available. I don't know what the price is going to be, but don't worry about it. Just eat as much as you can to support all the farmers. But here in the parish and also statewide, Crawfish Acres is expanding even more. This year, statewide, will probably be somewhere around 250,000 acres, 250,000 acres of crawfish production. So that's going to be a lot of crawfish. There are a few big plants that are taking a lot of that volume, but a lot of the crawfish is still going on trucks and going. The Cajun belt of influence is how far a Cajun can drive in about 8 hours with a pickup truck full of crawfish. So it's getting beyond Houston, out to San Antonio, up around Dallas and beyond, over Memphis, and then over the Gulf Coast to Florida. Getting a lot of Louisiana people over in Georgia, so Atlanta's getting a lot of crawfish too. So we are getting it out and about, so hopefully we'll have enough market to absorb all this extra acres, but it is a pretty significant commodity here in the parish and throughout South Louisiana. Andrew, let's hear about the rest of the commodities.
You said
Yes.
250,000 acres, is that in Acadiana?
That's statewide, which is mostly Acadiana region. Here in the parish, we're somewhere around 20,000+ acres.
Just a little bit about sugarcane and rice and cattle. I think the big news is that cane is taking over a lot of the land in the parish. A lot of ag lands are being taken over by sugarcane. Probably up to about 42,000 acres this year in sugarcane. Compare that to 15 years ago and probably 20,000. So it's been a slow but steady increase in sugarcane, and probably has sped up over the last couple of years. And that's mostly due to the rice farming industry is not doing that well because of low rice prices. We've been below the government's target price probably for the last 5 years. And that's really not great news, and that's probably why you're seeing more of this occurring. Plus the fact that sugar has been so stable. Once they got the agreement with Mexico straightened out, we've had a very, very consistent and profitable price for sugar. And so a stable industry versus one that's suffering, and certainly we're going to see a shift. We still have about 50,000 acres of rice in the parish, and it looks like we'll continue to have that kind of kind of acreage, but I see cane getting above that at some point in time. As far as cattle are concerned, cattle industry remains strong. We've got probably more. We have more sugar. We have more cattle farmers, cattle ranchers in the parish than all of the commodities combined. It's because it's just such a historical thing and and it's been very good. It's been a few years ago, back in 2014, we saw historic prices, unbelievable prices, and we haven't reached that level again, but it's stayed pretty consistent. This fall was one of the softer markets we've had in the last 7 or 8 years, but that was due to one of the packing plants burned and things like that, and kind of shook our market a little bit. It's come back up. Nationally, cattle prices are still, and for most people, would be considered profitable. And so it's going to be, I think, continue to be a good industry for us. Now, there was a hang-up in the Farm Bill, and hopefully we'll get it straightened out. They pretty much did away with payments to people that have pasture. If you had a rice base on your land, if you have a rice base on your land, traditionally, if you have rice base, you could farm, since the Freedom to Farm Act, you could farm anything and get a government payment because of your base. That's no longer the case. The problem is that sugar continues to get the payment, and cattle people can't. It's kind of created an unfair advantage as far as paying rents and whatnot. So we're a little bit concerned about that, but we're going to work on that and hopefully get that either take sugar out because they're not rice farmers or keep us all in, one or the other. So that's my report. I do have Mr. Aaron Lee with us. He's a young farmer from down in my neck of the woods, Esther. And he's actually a 6th generation farmer. He's going to give you a couple comments or viewpoint from a farming family.
Everybody, Mr. Andrews said, my name's Aaron Lee. I'm a 6th generation farmer from here in the parish. My family farms rice, we raise cattle, and fish crawfish. I graduated from LSU in ag business in 2015, and I came home and started farming with my dad. And since I know I haven't been farming that long, kind of on my own, but this year has probably been the toughest year I've seen us have, even before I started farming with it. The low yields and low rice prices really put a hurting on us, and something really needs to change, or the rice industry in the parish is really it's just going to slowly fade away, really, I think, if it keeps going down the road it's on. So I guess the best thing we can ask y'all to do is buy local products, buy Louisiana crawfish, look at your rice labels on your rice packs, and make sure they're from, a local mill. That helps us all, just every little bit helps, I don't know if anybody has any questions. That's about all I have.
I just want to let y'all know this guy can shoot doves. He's been doing it since he was dehydrated last night.
My eyesight's a little bit worse than it was back then.
We are lucky here in Vermilion Parish. We have a lot of good young farmers that are interested in continuing their traditions. Aaron is a good example of it, but we have several, and you don't see that everywhere. So we're lucky here in Vermilion to have good young people wanting to continue the industry.
Yeah, so anything y'all can do to support us, we'd really appreciate it.
Let's see, let me get Charles Dill has a couple of comments, kind of add to what you were saying.
Some years ago, my father, Charles Dill Sr., in conjunction with the Ag Center, instituted a program where every year the Abbeville Rotary Club recognizes a farmer who has made significant contributions in agriculture. And this year, Aaron is our honoree. Aaron is one of the youngest farmers in the parish, but his love of farming and the farming lifestyle has been lifelong. He grew up on a rice and cattle farm and was involved in every aspect of the farming enterprise from a young age. He was active in 4-H, showing Brangus cattle, and a state winner in plant science. He graduated from Vermilion Catholic, earning the Fritz Lang Scholarship and the Wayne and Linda Zombreaker Scholarship for Agricultural Studies. He graduated from LSU with a degree in Animal Science and Ag Business. After graduating, he returned to the family farm and began farming rice, cattle, and crawfish with his father, Al. He farms 300 acres of rice, 200 acres of crawfish, and 100 mama cows. What is most noteworthy about Aaron's farming career thus far is his willingness to take a leadership role. Rarely do we see a farmer this young be so involved in leading the industries he's involved with. He is a member of Farm Bureau. He has served as treasurer for the past 4 years and sits on the board of directors and is an active member of the Young Farmer and Ranchers and serves on the parish committee. He completed LSU's Ag Leadership class, traveling to Washington, D.C. and farms in California, Portugal, and Spain to learn about and gain an appreciation for global and national agriculture. As a rule, Aaron is quiet, but he's a very vocal leader for his industry. He is a member of St. James Catholic Church and recently married to Jamie Boudreaux. Because of Aaron's willingness to take on a leadership role in the farming community, his dedication to all that is agriculture, and his start in what promises to be a successful career in farming, it is fitting that Aaron Lee be named Rotary Farmer of the Year for 2019.
Now, as most of y'all know, we usually try to surprise the award winner. So he didn't know he was coming to do this. He thought he was just going to come make some comments and help Andrew. So we're glad that his dad, his wife, his sister could come. His mom is a teacher in the 7th Ward, so she couldn't get out of class.
We could see that if I
Mark, you didn't say,
you did.
you didn't give any report on the ducks.
On the ducks, that's not agriculture, that's wildlife.
What about alligators?
That's kind of, okay, alligators, real quick, California just passed a law outlawing the sale of alligator products in the state of California.
Really?
So Louisiana, Jeff Landry is going to file suit against California and try to get that changed. So that's the thing about alligators right now. California's
Strange species. It's going to that terrible.
All right, now we'll call up John Square to introduce our actual program today.
Actually worked out well. We're keeping with the theme of agriculture. So just a little history on J.T. Melek, and then I'll introduce Mr. Mark Mike. Titled The New Louisiana Classic, One Family, One Farm, One Great Idea. Begins in 1896 when J.T. Melek had the crazy idea to grow his rice on 20 acres of marshland in South Louisiana. Against the odds, the name J.T. Melek became synonymous with Louisiana rice, but to us, he will always be great Uncle John. 4 generations later, we still grow rice and now crawfish on the same 20 acres as our Uncle John. We've grown a little since then, but we are still as connected to the dirt as J.T. Melek. Over the years, I began thinking, what if we could make a great spirit from our rice? It would make our Uncle John proud. The result is something truly special. It's an American rice vodka born right here on our farm, just off Highway 35 in Branch, Louisiana. We're proud to take our rice from grain to glass. We work the dirt and grow the seed, just like Uncle John did. That's why we've named it J.T. Melek, because our crazy idea has managed to create a whole new Louisiana classic, one that goes straight from our farm to your front porch. Excuse me. So with that, I'll introduce Mike. Mike grew up on that crawfish farm in Branch and started out in the seafood business with his brother Mark in 1983, while still in college with the small crawfish farm. By 1989, he was harvesting, selling, and delivering crawfish in the back of his pickup truck each day, just like Mark just talked about, driving as far as you could, 8 hours and back. So a friend in Dallas provided entree to the Metroplex's restaurants, and before long, Mike was making real progress selling his Louisiana crawfish directly from his ponds to restaurants in Texas. He then opened up Fruge Seafood in 2000, a seafood wholesaler that cuts all kinds of fish from around the world to the specs of each restaurant. This kept his truck busy year-round, but it bothered him that their rice from the farm was making less and less, so one day he had an idea to take his rice and make it into a spirit. He spent years formulating the perfect recipe, and in
2017, Fruge Spirits was born. In July of 2018, J.T. Melek hit the shelves. The rest only time will tell. Mike is a hands-on problem solver who loves to analyze all aspects of the business. He's an avid golfer and a true Louisiana outdoorsman. He loves fishing at Toledo Bend and is also a great duck and goose hunting guy. But he never really stops working as he uses the time outdoors to clear his head and come up with work-related solutions. He lives in Crowley, Louisiana with his wife and 3 children. Help me welcome Mr. Mike Fruge.
Well, thank y'all for having me. Brought a couple of bottles here. Y'all can auction them off or something later on. I'm not allowed to pour samples, so everybody always asks. You can. I just can't personally pour the samples. So, anybody want to say?
Mike's not here today.
So I'll get started talking about it. So you heard the whole bio. I didn't realize they put all that on there. That kind of spoils my whole story. But I'm only 4th generation. He's got me beat by 2 generations. So I'm a little older. So my family settled in Branch in around the late 1870s. My great-great-uncle John grew what they call Providence-style rice back then. There was no water or irrigation, so you held water in the wintertime up on the hill, and then you let it slowly drain down to the bottoms. That's where they planted rice back then. It was a secondary food crop back then. Everybody either consumed it or sold it to their neighbors, and they called that Providence rice because if you didn't have water, you didn't have a wet winter, you weren't going to have a rice crop that year. My grandfather, Rufus Fruge, pretty much raised me and grabbed me by the collar when I was 5 or 6 years old. And we raked more leaves than I want to remember at his house. And but he'd always tell that story about Providence rice. It just sort of stuck with me. And when we came time to build the brand, I named it after Uncle John, J.T. Melek. The family name died because only one of the sisters married, and she married a Fruge. So there's no Meleks in Branch today. But at the bottom of the bottle it says distilled Providence style, and I tried to tie that into the story. But my whole purpose, I'm a little more optimistic about the rice foreman. My brother and I started in 1983. If anybody remembers that was about the worst time to ever start in farming. There were people driving tractors to Washington, D.C. People were going out of business all across the Midwest. I mean, we went through all of that. We started physically farming crawfish, as a way to do something while we were in college rather than work for minimum wage. And the crawfish industry was nothing like it is now. It was totally a hobby thing. We both graduated from UL. I met a girl from Florida, lived there for a couple of years, and then came back and decided to get serious about it. And literally, you heard the story. I got my pickup truck and drove to Dallas in '89. And we grew the business, and we, by all measures, I guess we're fairly successful. We about 4,000 acres altogether now. But out of all those years of rice farming, I think we made a good profit for about 5. And that's a real true story. If it wouldn't be for crawfish, we wouldn't be here. And so it just kind of frustrated me that we take that huge risk every year, and we're not in control of the destiny of it. And that's what came. I don't know what we thought we were going to do. Maybe a packaged rice or some value-added product. on the planet, but it's all done in Asia. There are two products. One's called sochu. The other one you've heard of is sake. Sochu is basically almost a vodka, but not. It's a, you can, if you go to Korea, you can buy it in a grocery store. You buy a bottle, 6-ounce bottle. I guess you don't even make it out the door. You fall over whenever you. But I liked drinking martinis. It was my favorite drink, and we worked on this recipe. I got some good help, and we were just experimenting at that point. But I was very impressed with the vodka, and I'm a vodka drinker, so we decided to bring it to market, and we tried it. Obviously, we tied it to the state. We're a long way from changing the course of the rice industry, but who knows? I was a long way from being 250,000 acres of crawfish production. I mean, literally, I bet there were 30,000 acres in '83, maybe, of crawfish. I mean, crawfish was something that, you were an outlaw if you farmed crawfish back then. All the rice growers were like, I'll never do crawfish. I can name names, down the list, but, crawfish saved the industry, really. So maybe, who knows? We'll see what happens. But,
How well does this stuff burn in generators?
well, the interesting thing about alcohol, all alcohol is ethanol. I mean, that's what you're making. You make ethanol, the same ethanol that they make in these big corn plants. It's just a matter of how much grain you leave on it that leaves the essence of that particular spirit that gives it its special flavor. If you smell this, you'll notice it does have a slight sweet smell to it, and we do that on purpose. We don't want to completely distill that out. It's very smooth. It's easy on the palate.
It is. It's delicious.
All that's intentional. It mixes with anything, and it makes a fantastic martini if you drink those. I just happen to. So, our main product won't be ready for a couple of years, and we don't know if it's going to be any good or not, but we're making a whiskey. There is no rice whiskey on the planet. For whatever reason, it's not legal to make rice whiskey in Japan, which is the most likely place it would come from. They'll take a sake or a sochu and they'll age it in barrels, but they don't. The people that control the liquor industry, it's kind of weird how all that goes, but they probably passed a law years ago to keep that from happening. They're really big into sort of their scotch. Japan makes a product, a single malt whiskey, which is basically a scotch, but you can't call it that. And that's their big product. There's only 2 distillers in the whole country. They control everything, so it's not like it is here where you got a bunch of people. But I really appreciate the opportunity to tell our story. And question.
Yeah. How many barrels of rice, or how many bottles of vodka do you get out of a barrel of rice? I mean, what's the...
So that's usually the first question everybody asks. You get, my batch is about 2,000 pounds of grain, and then 1,000 gallons of water, and we cook it and everything, and you get about 100 gallons of vodka, out of that batch, if you will. That makes sense.
Do you use polished rice or unpolished?
A little of both. That's part of our recipe, if you will. We don't do it with the husk on. We take the husk on, but we I can't tell you the exact ratio because then I'll be telling you my recipe.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other products on the market right now, or do you have any flavored ones or anything like that?
Well, we have the vodka, and we're really focused on learning how to sell that. We're very successful locally in Lafayette, this area. You can get it at Robbie's and Dupuis, Shucks. The local restaurants have it, or at least I was told they have it. The whiskey will be our next product. investment to, and, you know, Tito's only has one thing, and he's pretty successful. Yes, ma'am.
From beginning to end, the process, what kind of timeline are you looking at for the permit?
From when a vodka or a gin or any kind of clear spirit is not aged, so that goes much faster. So it's about from grain sitting on the floor to a bottle. You're talking about a month, give or take. Whiskey is probably 4 to 5 years. I'm pretty excited about the whiskey. We're basically following a bourbon profile. We're trying to make a really bold kind of camp whiskey, if you will. I mean, everybody here goes to the camp, or the duck camp, or the deer camp, or the LSU game, and they, you know, probably the most popular spirit in Louisiana is probably Crown Royal mixed with something. So it's going to be kind of along that lines on the I guess you call it the sweeter side of things. But we don't know yet because it's only 2 years old.
How much investment do you think you'll have to make if it becomes sustainable in personnel and distillery? What kind of distillery do you have now? Just locally?
I'm way in deeper than I thought. I have numbers, but it's well into the 7 figures to get to this point. Yeah. I didn't intend for it to. Most of that is in the whiskey, because you got to sit it, you got to buy barrels, you got to make it, and you got to let it sit.
So you started that process already?
I've already started. I'm 2 years into that, and I have a very compared to. I make 3 barrels a day. Jim Beam makes 65,000 barrels a day. Just Jim Beam.
Where you get your barrels?
Several different cooperages. One out of Missouri, one out of Ohio. To follow a bourbon profile, you use a new American oak barrel. And there's only certain places that grows, and there's only certain places that make it. And so you kind of have to go to those areas. And that's all driven by the bourbon industry. You know.
What's the proof? It's 80 proof.
It's 80 proof.
What's that? How long have you been making it?
We made the first stuff in 2016. We started active production in September of 17. We sold the first bottle in August of 18. So we're basically just getting started. You know, I sort of had a test run, if you will, and we were doing it, borrowing some equipment, some different things, and looked like things were working out, and we went ahead and started, the next phase 2, if you will, in which required a big investment in infrastructure and physical plant and all that. And all that's in Branch. Everybody asks that, where do you make it? We make it in Branch. We don't have a tour. I don't know when or how we'll do that. Eventually we will, but it takes so much time and effort just to get all that approved by the fire marshal, just to get the doors open. If you tell them you're going to run people through there, they about lose their mind, you know. So, yes,
You have
ma'am.
a name for your whiskey?
It'll probably be J.T. Melek. I don't know. We don't have the label finished yet, but we designed the name and the label and everything to be a whiskey.
You need to get a songwriter to write a song like Tennessee Whiskey.
So y'all at a disadvantage with whiskey because I travel like Glenn Living. Y'all use Jack Daniels, use barrels over there. So and you have to use a new one here.
Well, I don't have to use. I can do anything I want because I'm making a product that's never been done before. But to legally make a bourbon in America, you have to use a new oak barrel. It's the law. So but it's progressing.
You gotta taste it every now and then to see if it's.
Yeah, you pull samples and you try it, you know, and you get opinions and, you know, it's, the cool thing is there's no rice whiskey. The bad thing is there's no rice whiskey. Because you don't have anybody to follow. I'm breaking ground, you know, and we're, you know, it's a huge, if this doesn't work, it's the biggest, whatever, I don't know, hobby I've ever had. But I think it'll, you know, obviously I still believe in it. I wouldn't be standing here right now. We're pretty excited about it. It's just, it's been interesting, a lot of fun, you know.
Did you bring in like a master distiller, or is it something that you were able to do your research on, and, you know?
I guess that would be me. I'm not a hands-on guy. I need to know. I don't physically run the still every day, but I like to know how it works, and I need to do it myself to make sure it's going to be right. I had, you know, people that have a lot of experience, you know, in the industry. There's a lot of chemists in the industry, and you know, you seek out a lot of different opinions, and then I sort of put them all together, and you can go out and hire a quote-unquote master distiller, but there's no master distiller of rice whiskey. So, and when you really start digging through this is just my opinion. If you had a master distiller in here, you totally disagree with me, because it's an art to them. You know, it gets real technical about how all that's done, but I like to find something that works, which means a lot of experimentation to figure that out. But once I find it, you know, I'm going to change it. I'm going to do it over and over, you know, and that's what I'm in the middle of figuring out. So if I had some third party in there telling me all this, I'd have to listen to them, and it would just drive me crazy. I couldn't touch it, you know, I have to believe it. So.
Any other questions?
Is there anything in your process that's unique to the rice distilling as opposed to the other malts or whatever?
I didn't get the question.
I mean, is there anything different about the way you distill rice as opposed to the way Jack Daniels distills it?
Well, the basic process of distilling grain is probably the same. You know, what grain you use, what yeast you use, how long you cook it, how long you let it ferment. Those are all sort of critical steps that amount to your recipe, and you have to. There's a lot of trial and error that goes into that to figure that out. And like I said, there's no data on rice, so we had to trial and error.
All right, one other thing, I'm sorry, too. Can you pull for
And a bottle of vodka? Should have auctioned those. Yeah, you should have auctioned those.
Last four is 2368.
Nope, not tonight.
2368.
Proctor. Right. Hey, you don't want to auction it?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. We auction those.
We're going to pull some more numbers for the market. For a bottle of vodka, 2372.
Okay, you could have made some money.
All right. Next one. 2361.
Number 6 sold.
Bubba got it? Yep. Can you get through there now? Got it.
2358.
That's me. Bingo. That's me.
We need to check all your IDs. half a bottle floating around here, so it's probably empty by now. All right, so if you didn't get a directory, come on up and get your club directory. And no further business, we'll call this meeting adjourned.
When are y'all leaving for Atlanta? Going to Atlanta this weekend? Good boy, I want